for the nonprofits. I'm going to be talking about the final frontier. And for those of you that don't know it, it's space. So, shocker, right? So first we're going to start off with, in 2010, I read an interesting article on Yahoo News. Some of the top 10 places to go visit this year are Hokkaido, so I mean, in Japan, Kent Coast off the coast of England, Atlanta, Georgia, and Doha, where we have our sister campus. What was not on this list was space. But in the next couple years, expect to see places in deep space to be on a list like this. So what's next, as I was saying, we have possibility of going to Mars, the International Space Station, or the moon. Currently, the US is in a plan to start getting manned space travel back to the moon by 2018. China's planning in their own space travel there. Russia's looking at things. India's even looking into manned space travel. So this is an issue that a lot of people are looking into, as well as also space stations, which we have, or tourism, space hotels. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. Government. So who gets you into space? There's government organizations. Currently, only 3 countries have ever sent people into space or have the capabilities of doing it. That's Russia, the US, and China. If you've heard in the news recently, the US is shutting down its space shuttle program. Well, not shutting it down, they're retiring their space shuttles. So we will no longer be able to send astronauts or people into space to reach the International Space Station. So we'll be relying on Russian space travel because China is not participating in the ISS. They're actually looking to do their own space station called the Tiangong, something like that. So it's something like that, and they're actually planning on getting that out in the next couple years. They have their space thing, the Shenzhou 8 is going to be fueling the Tiangong space station. So the other ones you see on there, Europe actually functions as a United Space Agency, combining like Italy's, France, England, so all those work together under the European Space Agency. And the Japanese one, they're both unmanned vehicles that can just bring supplies into space. They don't carry humans. So that leaves the private or commercial sector. Very recently, they've been getting a lot more publicity. Virgin Galactic, you can see their owners there. Sir Richard Branson, he has started his new program. He's a very rich man. So he's actually lined up about 400 potential space astronauts who have laid down $200,000 to reserve a spot on his spaceship carrier to bring them into low Earth orbit for about 2 minutes. They've had successful runs so far for practice, and it's going to be rolling out soon for their 400 potential astronauts. Another one is the SpaceX Dragon, which is actually going to be launched on Tuesday next week. So they're doing this new preparation, and it's supposed to actually go into orbit and then come back down. So it's going to be the first one that goes all the way out, other than government. And only, as I said before, 3 government organizations have ever done that. So this is a big step for private commercial industries. Another important thing is that because we're retiring our space shuttle, the US is looking for commercial spacecraft to bring people and supplies to the ISS. And so under the Commercial Operations Transportation Services agreement, they're looking to, they've done a $1.6 billion deal with SpaceX and a $1.9 billion deal with Orbital to create and develop these new space shuttles that can bring supplies to the ISS. So it's a growing field. Boeing is also their general defense contractor that also is trying to enter the COTS program. So there's lots of them. And how do you get into space? You don't just go up to your local neighborhood Pittsburgh airport and say, hey, take me into space. What you got to do is go to one of the 2 special airport things in either New Mexico or California. The one in Mexico is actually just dedicated in October to Governor Bill Richardson, who is supporting the space travel. And they're basically 2-mile-long runways where you can just take off and land. And so if you guys have ever heard of the Google X Prize or the Lunar Prize, the X Prize, or send something into space, they're usually run off of rockets at the civilian one, which is in California, or will be for private industries, especially Virgin Galactic, the one in New Mexico. So what's next? As I was saying, there is a possibility for hotels and casinos. One European company, is actually looking to start taking in reservations for their potential space hotel in 2012. So if you have a couple $100,000 to spare, and you want to put it down to go into space for a 5-day exclusive trip, you should contact them. Or you can also look into Xenon. How many of you guys have seen the movie? Oh my gosh, not that many. Wow, come on, stay on challenge right here. So for those of you that don't know, since it's obviously needs a bit of an explanation, is that Xenon is a girl, it's a Disney Channel movie, where she lives up on a space station, she goes to school there, and she just basically lives there for her whole life. And so that could be a potential future, because, well, we're heading into space. That is the final frontier. So the future is, if you're interested in doing something with them, or you like this topic, check out one of these companies. They're located throughout the entire world, somewhere in Romania, don't ask me why. And yeah, so that's a bit about space.